I'm not sick, but I'm not well. And I'm so hot 'cause I'm in hell. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with episode 2 of Heavenly Delusion. So this one, our randomized wheel spin last week in order to become the new Thursday series. This is a first impression we did while back. And I wanted to get into an anime. That was kind of what the wheel was all about. I wanted to get another anime on the list because we have a lot of cartoons we're reacting to at the moment, but not a lot of anime. And so I wanted to bring one of those in. And so this ended up, like I said, winning the spin. And I had to kind of remind myself of this series because I remembered the basic gist of it, but I watched a reaction. I watched your boy Roshi's reaction to the first episode again, just to kind of like bring myself back into the fold of things. So this series has two stories going on, at least in the first episode. We have a story inside this kind of shut off um societal area. I don't know what else to call it. This shut off societal area that's like blocked out from the outside world. Um, we have a group of kids there who are being taken care of by the director and her, associates, and basically being kept away from the outside world. They don't know what is out there. They don't even know anything is out there because this is all they've ever known. They were either raised from like infancy or even born here. And so we see that they are just starting to kind of explore the idea that there might be an outside to the outside. And the director is actually pretty forthcoming with it. But she refers to the outside as hell. Basically referring to the society that they're within as heaven. Um, and this kind of already gives you the view of heavenly delusion. They're living in a delusion of heaven. But what is the truth of the outside world? Well, we find that out through the second story that is going on at the same time, which I don't know which you would consider the A plot and the B plot here. I almost kind of consider them both equal because they seem as equally important. But the second story we have focused on is about Maru and Kiriko. They are these young adults who are traveling through this post apocalyptic wasteland, the outside of the outside. And we see them kind of just trying to explore, trying to find houses that haven't already been looted and raided. So this is some time after a post-apocalyptic event. We don't know exactly how long, um, but sometime after. So they're still trying to find loot and everything, whatever they can. And she is acting as... No, one of them is acting as the other's bodyguard. I can't... Even in the reaction I watched, it wasn't entirely clear because I thought it was she was the bodyguard, but then it's like part of it is like implying that he's the bodyguard. It's a complicated thing. I think she's the bodyguard. I think she is because she also has this gun, this battery powered gun that seems to like melt and obliterate anything it shoots, but it's battery powered, so it's a really interesting kind of tech. Um, so that's very, very unique in and of itself. They end up coming upon this woman. She allows them to, get cleaned up, to have some food. But during all of this, there's this talk of like this monster, and like Kiriko's saying like, "Oh, well, we can take care of this monster," and she's like, "But guns don't work on it." Anyways, it seems like she ends up drugging them, putting them to sleep, and then the monster comes, which is like this bird-like creature that's some kind of mutant or something. it's definitely connected to the fact of the apocalypse. Whatever this apocalypse is was caused by these mutations, or the mutations are a side effect of whatever else could have caused the apocalypse. It doesn't seem like a nuclear apocalypse, so it's nothing like that, I think. Nothing like Fallout. But I don't know otherwise what it could be. It's just unclear. We don't have all the information yet. But this was something that like really caught my attention. Um, and in your boy Roshi's reaction, they mentioned that it was kind of reminiscent to God, I had it in my head just a moment ago. That it was kind of reminiscent to oh, what is that one anime? The one with the second season that everybody hated. But I didn't even get that far because I didn't like the first episode. Oh, what is it called? Promise Neverland. I knew it started with a P. It's like it was in my head. But yeah, they compared it to Promise Neverland with like, you know, the kids in kind of this segregated area being lied to about like what exactly the outside world is like and everything, but also just being lied to about like where they are and what's going on. So yeah, I can very much see that. But unlike the first episode of that, the first episode of Heavenly Delusion, like aggressively interested me. It was so fascinating. It really got you thinking, really got you just invested right off the bat. And I just didn't get that with Promise Neverland. I can't fully explain why, but I just really didn't like it. It felt, I guess you could say, edgy to me. Like for the sake of being edgy. It didn't feel like it was natural in its dark concepts and everything. Um, but maybe that's just me. Either way, I'm excited to see what this series continues to be. I think it's only the one season. I don't know if that's like by design, if that's just how much content there is, or there just hasn't been enough content since to make a second season yet, or if they just hadn't gotten around to a second season. I don't remember exactly when this came out. I think it was a few years back. So it's like there could still be a second season. But I like I said, I don't know if there's enough material in the manga. I don't even know if this is a manga thing. Some anime are originals. Some are based on light novels. I don't know. But either way, like I said, I'm definitely excited to see more of this because there's so much great potential based just off that first episode. So let's get into it and see what this has in store for us. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Well, that was a twist. Okay. So, first off, as I was talking about at the end, before we get into the big thing there, I think that the one at the in heaven with the short hair is supposed to be Maru, the one with Maru's face that we heard about, the one that Maru is supposed to inject the medicine into, and that it's going to like save the world or something, or at least be very, positive for such. I'm very curious as to why, for a lot of reasons then. But like looking at it, I feel it's pretty clear that that's who they're talking about. Because one, we know the place is like heaven, we know it's referred to as that. But also it's like looking at both Maru's face and this other kid's, it feels obvious to me. Now, let's talk about the big reveal at the end. I know we're kind of going out of order with things, but let me go in the order I want to talk about things. So, Kiriko is a guy. As he puts it at the end here, he has a woman's body, but he is a guy. And like he basically says, in his mind, in his brain, he's a guy. And so that's interesting, because that feels like very like the most direct trans representation you could really have, outside of like, explicitly saying it, outside of an anime that's explicitly about that kind of stuff, like Wandering Sun or whatnot. And like, I'm all for it. I'm absolutely all for it. I'm just wondering how this is gonna go. Because mind you, there is absolutely nothing wrong with Maru and Kiriko having a romance, with Kiriko being a guy. Like, that can still happen, and I think it's a cute idea. I mean, I have no issue with it. But this actually explains something in episode 1. In episode 1, there's a point where Kiriko was looking into the mirror and like started to like try to kiss his reflection. And it was like always like a thing like, oh, are you just like curious or something, or thinking about things or whatnot? But instead it was more, I guess, about like he likes girls, I guess, maybe, and he is like imagining kissing like a girl or something. I don't know, but it gives you an interesting perspective into that. So I guess it makes sense as well to a degree, because it's like, if he was like 3 to 5 or something like that when this calamity happened, I mean, he'd have really no way to live as a trans person. Like, he'd have no way to, not even just like get surgery or anything, but just adjust physically to a lot of that. The only thing he could possibly do is like, cut his hair and all, which maybe that'll happen at some point, but I don't know. It's like, I'm just very, very curious about how they're going to play this. Because there's not a huge amount of trans representation in anime. There's some here and there, like One Piece has a few different characters, but there's not a huge amount, so I just don't know how this series is going to handle this. And obviously, do not spoil me. No spoilers. Do not tell me what's going to happen, what's going to be talked about, what's going to be like gone into with that. Do not spoil me. But yeah, I'm very, very curious as to what they're going to do with this, because it's such a big topic to suddenly drop there. And yeah, I'm just curious. I don't know how else to put it. But as has I feel been made very clear, now that this has been revealed, I will be referring to Kiriko as, well, with he him pronouns. I will be referring to him that way because that is something that's obviously important to me as a trans person myself. Though I'm a trans woman / non-binary, I use she they pronouns, but still. It's important to me to use someone's like requested pronouns. Their requested pronouns, preferred pronouns, that all sounds so weird. I want to use the pronouns they go by, you know? And he said he's a boy. So I'm choosing to go by male pronouns for him unless it says otherwise. But yeah, like using that as like that is such a wild thing though. Because it's like he uses that as an explanation for why he and Maru can't be into each other. But it's like, my dude, if you're trans, you can absolutely be gay. And I mean, you can be gay if you're not trans as well, of course, but it's like that's not really like this big valid excuse. If you're already trans, you can absolutely be gay as well. There's a lot of trans people who are. A lot of trans people who are straight. A lot of trans people who are bi or pan or ace or arrow or any kinds of combination of those. So it's like that just feels like a weird excuse to use for that, you know? I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But either way, so I'm very curious as to how they're going to do that. But like I said, if you've seen this entire series, if you've read any manga or whatever light novel that might be based off of, please do not spoil me. Like, I do not want to know ahead of time. But let's talk about like the rest of this episode. So we're still following the two different storylines. We're following the storyline in heaven, and then we're following the outside world, and our different characters within each. And so we have a couple different portions to the outside storyline as well. So let's start with the heaven storyline and touch on that. So we're following our characters in heaven. These youths. I don't know how old they're supposed to be. It's very unclear. Especially with one of them like sending like a nude shower in text and everything to the other. It's hard to say like how old they're supposed to be. That's an anime thing as well, though, to be fair. A lot of anime make it very hard to tell sometimes. So I like it when an anime can like explicitly say this is how old the character is, or at least give us notable hints. But we see them just kind of like experiencing certain things within their bubble, you could say. Whether it be their relationships with each other, you see the entire thing with like the ball that goes beyond the boundaries towards the teacher only door, and having to get permission to go get it. You see them like playing with like these robots to, from what we can tell, girls kissing. I say from what we can tell because they're all wearing the same outfits, and so it's sometimes they are a little more androgynous. Plus, there's also the fact that we now have trans representation. So, taking that into account as well, it's hard to say. Don't want to just assume, you know? But, not too much is happening with that side of things this time. It's more setting up like kind of like characters and their, again, their relationships and everything, as well as like showing us the one character again, the one who again has the short hair and looks like Maru. Is that Tokyo? Because I know one of the characters' names is Tokyo. Is that one Tokyo? Um, maybe not. I don't know. I'm not gonna go back and check it again right now. But they are they seem to be like thinking about a lot. So I think they were the ones who got the message in the first episode too. The message that was like, "Oh, do you want to know what's outside and do you want to go outside the outside?" All of that jazz. I think they were the one who got that message, which is really interesting. With them being clearly the one that looks like Maru, that makes it even more interesting because, like, you kind of question, what does that mean? Is this happening in different times? Like, is the one sending the message actually Maru? Like, it's unclear, like, what the timeline of this all is, and how this is all going to like connect, because it's clearly going to. Um, but yeah, we just kind of get to see a little bit into their lives. I feel like the other storyline is a little more important here with Maru and Kiriko. So we see them like waking up after having been drugged, and they go out to try and fight the monster bird. While they are succeeding in fighting it, learning more about it, but the woman that they've been staying with comes out and stops them. She reveals that the bird ate her son and that she believes that her son's consciousness is still in there because the monster bird has not attacked her, has not done anything like harmful, and has even protected her. So she believes that her son is still in there and is like, you know, kind of keeping her safe. It was very obvious that it was like not the case though. It's like extremely obvious it was going to kill her. And yeah, it did. At least it was quick. You have to give it that. At least she died instantly when getting her head like sliced off like that. Well, halfway sliced off. At least it was quick. She didn't suffer. I will give it that. But then she got like the rest of her body chopped into pieces and eaten and everything. And you saw how Kiriko and Maru both reacted to this. Both of them were extremely upset by this. Maru got serious and very clearly angry while Kiriko was crying. Um, it shows that these two are good people, that they care. And even though they didn't know this woman very well, they just had met her, they still like didn't want to see her die because they care. They have empathy. They have sympathy for people. So it really sets not only the tone of a lot of this series, I feel, but it also sets forth a kind of a character tone. It allows you to really know these two characters a lot better and know how their morals and ethics kind of work. So it was definitely a character building moment, but also like a, oh, that's sad kind of moment. Because you do feel bad, but at the same time, it didn't make me cry or anything because I knew like way too much that it was going to happen. It felt way too obvious. Um, but it was still sad because she had kind of gone crazy and she had like been so aggressively like protective of this creature because she thought it was still her son. And When she said it's her son, at first I'm thinking like, oh, did these creatures evolve from people somehow? But no, she thought because it ate her son, it like somehow took on his mind and properties and whatnot. Clearly not how this works. But I do also like how Kiriko and Maru questioned it for a second there. It's like, wait, could it actually work like that? Um. So yeah, that was fascinating to me. There's also a line that was said that I wonder about because Maru was, I believe, no, was it Maru or Kiriko? One of them said, like when talking about the gators and sharks and everything that could be in the water, they were like, I know how to kill. I can't remember what the name they called the monsters are, but those monsters, I know how to kill those, but not a gator or a shark. And it's like, couldn't you kill it the same way? Or does your powers not work on anything besides these creatures? I guess that's a possibility. Because we don't know what his powers are all about. We have no idea what how they work or anything. They might only work on these creatures for some reason. But I mean, you guys have a gun, a really powerful battery charged gun. It's like you could easily use that. I feel like that's perfectly valid. Now, that was the first half of their storyline. The second half of their storyline is reaching the tomato heaven. This is apparently a whole community. Kind of think like one of those communities you see in like The Walking Dead and whatnot. They have like farmland, they have society, they have everything really. It seems like a really great place. But for some reason, Kiriko is getting like a bad feeling about it. They also notice that the boxes that have like supplies and stuff that they've received from other people, like other societies or whatever, has a symbol that is on Kiriko's gun, which is very curious. And by the end, they're heading on a ship with like other like stuff. Like they're not staying in that tomato heaven, but rather heading out to a new location. Because they was talking about the ships and stuff that they would like have stuff go across the water in, right? So it's like it's definitely that, but it didn't fully explain what their goal was here. But one of the guys in the society seemed to recognize Kiriko. And apparently like she was like a racer or something, like 5 years back or something like that. I don't exactly know like what that's talking about, but apparently he was like a racer. I think I accidentally called him she. I apologize. But yeah, apparently he was a racer like 5 years back or something. Um, but while the picture was very clearly him, like it seemed like he was trying to deny it, and Maru was trying to deny it on his behalf. So I'm not entirely sure what this backstory is going to be yet. I feel like we're going to find everything out in time, of course. But right now, there's still a lot of mysteries. The opening is pretty good. It's really unique, has a unique sound. It reminds me of something, I just can't think of what. Like, I don't know if it's even another anime opening or if it's just some other song I've heard. Um, there's one anime opening that it kind of makes me think of, but I'm trying to think of what it is. Is it Ergo Proxy? I think it might be Ergo Proxy that I'm thinking of. Where it's like a really unique sound that doesn't sound like any other kind of anime, but it's not, it doesn't, the opening song doesn't quite sound like the song from Ergo Proxy. It's just like in its uniqueness, it reminds me of that. Because Ergo Proxy's opening is super unique. I just wish I ended up liking the show. But that's an entirely different issue. Yeah, and the ending, I didn't listen to the whole thing, but the ending is pretty good too. It's nothing special, but it's pretty good. I've seen better endings, but it's not the worst I've seen. So I definitely like the opening better though. I'm definitely gonna have to see it some more before I can truly judge it, which pretty standard, but I definitely enjoyed it. Um, and so yeah, this is 13 episodes so far. So I want to see if like there's like plans for a season two. So Heavenly Delusion season two. It came right up in the Google search. So apparently there's 68 chapters in the manga. The first season adapted up to somewhere between 34 and 37. So they would have enough for a second season, about 12 to 13 episodes. Okay. I'm not seeing anything like confirmed, of course. But like I guess it's possible. When did this come out? That's something to check as well. Apparently, the manga is still running though, so it might have more chapters than what I just noted too. The manga has been going since 2018 and has 11 volumes currently. The anime came out in 2023, only a couple years ago. It absolutely could get a season 2. It's by Production IG. And it was well received. I do know that. Um, yeah, I'm not seeing anything regarding it. Apparently, it was streamed on Disney Plus and Hulu. And it does have a physical release, which is very good because not every series gets that these days. Um, but yeah, I'm not seeing any kind of confirmation currently for a season two. So hopefully it gets one. It's only been, like I said, it's only been out a couple years, not even a full 2 years yet. So it's like it very well could get another season. Not every show gets another season confirmed right away, like Dan to Dan, which is also coming out like very shortly after season one. Not every series does that. Some shows have to wait even years between productions. And then there's some shows where it's like, oh, you get a second season like a decade later, like Durarara. It was like I think 11 years later when Durarara X2 came out first started coming out. Something like that. So it's like sometimes you really have to wait. Um, but yeah, I will I really do hope it gets a season two if this one continues to be as good as these first two episodes have been, because this was really good. Um, so yeah, tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this second episode of Heavenly Delusion? Thank you so much for tuning in, and for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See you all next time.